Monday, December 29, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the 2 p.m. newscast on Royal FM 88.4, our top stories. Two days to the head of state end-of-year speech to the nation come December 31st, 2025. Cameroonians have begun assessing last year's end-of-year speech and its implementations.
I really just really believe that end-of-year speeches from the president are always just speech.
Installation of transformers only after the citizens took it to the street, and this actually raised questions to whether communities must protest for promises to be fulfilled.
Away from Cameroon, voting has taken place smoothly in Central African Republic, with local observers reporting no major disturbances at polling stations. And in sports, today marks the start of the third and final round of group fixtures at the Africa Cup of Nations ongoing in Morocco, with 4 games on the cards. Details of these stories and more right ahead. Dear listeners, it is always a pleasure to have you. As you heard earlier on in our top stories, as we count down to the president's end-of-year speech on December 31st, we are taking a look back at the promises he made in his 2024 address. Cameroonians are assessing what was promised and what has been realized. Get details with our reporter, Ngang Nadesh.
Kelly expresses skepticism about the president's promises. According to her, they are just words on paper.
I really just really believe that end-of-year speeches from the president are always just speech, because most of the time there are no actions to it. There is nothing done at the end of the day. Because let's even get into this light issue. That's just the worst for people living in Boya. Quarters have to get into this light issue. That's just the worst for people living in Boya. Quarters have to come out and block the road to stop movement before they can provide them lights. Basic electricity for people in a city. How can people live without electricity?
Bruno notes that while some progress has been made, it is minimal. He affirms that the provisions are often reactive rather than proactive.
While some progress has been made in certain areas, many communities still face irregular water supply, frequent power outage, and poor road conditions. They led to installation of transformers only after the citizens took it to the street, and this actually raised questions to whether communities must protest for promises to be fulfilled.
Boris, on his part, laments the urban-centric approach to development, saying that rural areas are usually less prioritized in the realization of these projects.
It has not been accomplished. The water supply must not only be in the city, like there's some villages that lack water, tank, and so on and so forth. Like they had to even make forage supply, like provide water in each city or street, but there is none. So I can't see I have benefited from that promise which he made.
Bruno once again stresses that electricity, arguably the most crucial basic necessity, remains one of the most neglected in the country.
We take a look at the Minchum division. Residents there have lived with unreliable electricity for 9 years now. You can imagine, 9 years. And it actually contributed to economic hardship and unemployment there. Hospitals and clinics rely solely on electricity for diagnostics, you get, and equally emergency equipment. Electricity is actually one essential thing that we really need, that needs to be stable in this country.
As Cameroonians await the president's end-of-year speech, reactions are mixed on the progress made on 2024 promises, leaving citizens with one question. Would the president's speech come December 31st, 2025 be the dawn of a new reality in 2026?
Looking back at President Paul Biya's speech in 2024 with special focus on the situation in the Northwest and Southwest regions, our reporter Evans Williams Jobati got the evaluation and appraisals from some experts in security-related issues and our own reports.
In his 2024 New Year Eve's message, President Paul Biya stated that the security situation in the two English-speaking regions had improved significantly and that reconstruction efforts were progressing, a view shared by Norway's Governor Adolf Lille-Lafrique.
After the head of state launched a call to the Norwest population to increase their collaboration with the security and defense forces to shun out the perpetrator of chaos, disorder in our various communities. He recalled the ongoing works that are going on in the Norwest region, and he promised that with the support of the donors, more roads are going to be tied.
Also, the head of state issued a fresh appeal to armed groups to lay down their weapons and join the disarmament, demobilization and reintegration DDR centers, which to many has not been properly managed, like Isidore Com, who has fine brain in security related issues.
But unfortunately, it hasn't been the case, given that there have still been a lot of skirmish, a lot of bloodshed in Northwest and Southwest due to the crisis. But I believe that the people are gradually gaining consciousness, because it is not as before. The level of insecurity, the level of uprising, the level of civil disobedience and boycott and so on are no longer as it was in the past. So we must stand by the head of state, to salute his effort of fighting for security, peace, justice within his command.
Nevertheless, our expert is of the opinion that being one and indivisible should be a collective effort with high hopes for 2026.
The spirit of solidarity and fraternity, and how Cameroon must remain one and indivisible, a strong and united nation, which of course is paramount to any head of state, nation and citizens. And we all have to agree with him that Cameroon should be one and indivisible. When he release the people, they might come out and regain their freedom, their liberty. Actually, we will remain one and indivisible. Actually, the security challenges might be overcome by our peace-loving Cameroonians.
During his December 31st, 2024 New Year Eve address to the nation, one could equally note several points such as emphasis laid on national unity, progress and peace, with traditional and local rulers in these areas called upon to engage reconstruction dialogues.
On to something else in the news. The year 2025 closes in 2 days, paving the way for a new year. Within these last days, individuals are making assessments on how the current year has been and if their goals were met. The moment is also a chance for them to outline their resolutions as they look forward to 2026. Take a listen to some of them in this Vox Pop put together by Glory Ngange.
I'm actually happy what I've achieved in 2025, because one of my biggest target was entering masters. With all the difficulties I faced for the first degree and everything, I was happy that I make it to target to continue to further my studies. So I hope 2026 I'm going to finish level 1 and 2, why not, so that I can continue with my PhD. Concerning New Year resolutions, I take them very seriously because it's a way for me to prove that I am improving or not.
About the New Year resolution I made the year 2025, I didn't really accomplish them, but I accomplished some, and I'm looking forward. I'm trying that the new year resolutions I'm going to make this time around, I'll try my best to accomplish them.
Usually I don't do more of resolutions, I do more of goal setting. So last year I set some goals, I've already roughly assessed them, and I've realized that I made some progress and I had some challenges in certain aspects. I can say that I am 60% satisfied with how I went with most of my goals, and I'm looking at the things that made me not to achieve 100%. So between tomorrow and before the 31st, I'll be going on a personal retreat to fully evaluate my goals for this year that's ending and plan better for next year. For next year, I'll be prioritizing my spiritual growth and my personal development.
It is 11 minutes past the hour of 2 p.m. You are listening to the 2 p.m. newscast on Royal FM 88.4 and live on YouTube on Royal FM Cameroon. We talk religion in this newscast. Some Christian denominations all over the world celebrated the Feast of the Holy Family yesterday, Sunday, December 28th. The event is celebrated annually on the Sunday after Christmas, dedicated to Jesus Christ, the Virgin Mary, and Saint Joseph. More details on the feast with our reporter Glory Ngange, who had an exchange with clergy. Take a listen.
The Feast of the Holy Family is celebrated in the Catholic Church as well as in several Lutheran and Anglican churches. Reverend Father Fidelis Kum, priest of the Bamenda Archdiocese, shed light on the feast.
This feast of the Holy Family of Joseph, Mary, and Jesus has got a great significance in the life of the church and to the family. On Christmas, he took human form and he dwelt with us. And so this feast of the Holy Family, it reminds us that Jesus chose to be born and raised within a human family, showing the holiness and the importance of family life. And so every family have to draw inspiration from the Holy Family of Nazareth.
The clergy further highlights the significance of the event to Christian families.
It reminds us of the love which is born in the family. It reminds us of the unity found in the family, the unity between Joseph and Mary, Jesus, and the faith within the family. It reminds us of the obedience and the trust in God, care, responsibility, sacrifice among family members, respect of family members. These virtues are to be born in every family. We grow up with them.
While celebrating the feast, activities are guided to demonstrate the unity that is expected in families, as the priest outlines.
We see how families renew marital vows on this day. Then in church we sit according to families. The father will sit, of course, the leader, the children sit in the middle, and the wife beside. The Catholic family movement, the CFN was salon. Inside the Holy Mass, during the liturgy of the word, the couples, they go to read. Some days you see the wife will introduce the first reading, then the husband reads, then the wife concludes, to show how united the family is in everything they do. Then during the bidding prayers, they come out and do the bidding prayers together. Then during special offertory, they all come out, they dance and come up together. During communion, they come for communion together.
Reverend Father Fidelis also reveals some of the sermons that are often delivered during the Feast of the Holy Family.
The homily is towards the family life, but you touch beginning with the father, how he's supposed to be loving to the wife, and the consequences when the love does not exist. Then the mother, how she's supposed to pay respect to the husband, how loyal she is, and if that is not given, you may see chaos in the family. Then on the part of the children are supposed to be obedient to the parents.
The Feast of the Holy Family was instituted as a liturgical celebration in 1893 by Pope Leo XIII, and in 1921, the feast was added to the Universal Church calendar.
Some 26,691 underprivileged children have today received financial support for the establishment of their birth certificates. The funds were handed over in a ceremony presided over by the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa. A reporter Ngang Nadesh took her microphone to the streets and took the appraisals of these initiatives by some Cameroonians. Get them speak in this Vox Pop.
It's a great initiative because birth certificates are important and are known worldwide. Maybe when the child will grow up, so apply in some necessary things, they will need that, not only in the application of work or jobs or visa or whatsoever.
I think what the Minister of Women Empowerment and the Family is doing is beautiful, because there are many people, especially in the suburbs, in the small villages, there are many children living without birth certificates, and their parents are so ignorant that they don't know that a birth certificate is very important for a child. A child was in class 6 to write the first school living certificate. A child cannot be registered without the birth certificate. That's when the parents now started looking for a wait to do their birth certificate. And I was like, what? How have people been living with a child for over how many years? And they said they didn't see the need for it. They didn't even know. I was like, so if this initiative is being done mostly to underprivileged children, it will be really good. And children in the suburb, educate parents down there to get to see the importance of this, then it's a very, very beautiful initiative.
This initiative is very important, something we could applaud our head of state for, because many families, to be specific, underprivileged families miss the 90 days deadline to register at the civil status center, something that turns the process into a court matter requiring precision. And we start going through the court, it makes it even more costly for the underprivileged families. The financial support is actually a way of simplifying the process for the underprivileged families that didn't miss the 90 days deadline. When they provide this support, they actually help more children to gain legal identity. They don't make this support accessible to those in remote areas. There will be no way it will reduce exclusion. So for that to happen, they need to make it accessible to all.
In economy news, the African Development Bank has revealed that Cameroon's economy is showing signs of resilience with a 3.6% growth rate in 2025. This was revealed through the institution's most recent report last September 2025. A reporter Jeffrey Tachum spoke with an expert in economy who evaluates that report. Here is his report.
The recent report by the African Development Bank on Cameroon's economic resilience was to be expected, according to Seraphim Baga, research analyst at the Cameroon Economic Policy Institute.
The information given by the African Development Bank about the development growth of Cameroon is but normal, because during the 2 last years, the Cameroonians have been working on all their activities, given the fact that the prices of cocoa have increased.
And in recent years, the country has shown its ability to diversify her economy, especially in the agricultural sector, thus yielding positive annual revenue.
The discovery of new activities such as the cassava flour and the entrepreneurial works carried by Cameroonian youth, all those contribute to the new growth and is very important. This performance will lead to the growth of the economy and as well as the classification of Cameroon among great nations.
Overall, Cameroon's economy is showing resilience, but structural weaknesses such as infrastructure gaps remain a big challenge. The African Development Bank therefore recommends prioritizing reforms like tax exemptions and restructuring strategic state-owned enterprises.
Let's now find out what's making headlines out of Cameroon with our senior reporter and editor-in-chief Mapala Zita, who has joined me in the studio. Good afternoon, Zita.
Good afternoon, Crispin.
Central African Republic have voted amid what analysts say was a mostly peaceful election day.
Voting in the Central African Republic's national election appeared to have gone smoothly in many places, with observers reporting no major disturbances at polling stations. The December 28th election saw incumbent President Faustin Archange Touadéra seeking a controversial third term after a constitutional change removed presidential term limits in a move which his critics say weakens democratic checks. Touadéra, who is backed by Russian security support and credited by some voters with improving stability, is widely seen as the favorite in a crowded field of 7 presidential contenders. Roughly 2.3 million voters casted their ballots for president, legislators, and local offices, with provisional results expected by early January 2026.
Over in Guinea, hopes for progress are high as Guineans await election results.
Guineans are waiting anxiously for the outcome of the country's first presidential election since the 2021 military coup, with expectations high that the vote could mark a turning point after years of political uncertainty. Polls closed on Sunday following a tightly controlled elections widely expected to favor military leader General Mamadi Doumbouya, who led the coup that removed former President Alpha Conde and has overseen a 4-year political transition. The election was held under a new constitution that allows military leaders to run for the office and extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years. Only 9 candidates were approved with several prominent opposition figures barred from the elections or living in exile.
What else is there to know, Zita?
A lot more out of the African continent. Crispin, a special prosecutor in South Korea, has accused the wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol of interfering in state affairs in return for expensive valuables and money. Min Jung-ki's comments this morning comes a day after he wrapped up a year-long investigation into Yoon's brief imposition of martial law and other scandals related to the once powerful couple. Ex-First Lady Kim Kyun-hee has denied any wrongdoing, while a lower court ruling on her case is expected on January 28, 2026. Thailand's army has accused Cambodia of breaching a newly signed ceasefire deal reached after weeks of deadly clashes that forced nearly 1 million people from their homes. In a statement, the Thai army said more than 250 unarmed aerial vehicles were detected flying from the Cambodia side last night. And then U.S. President Donald Trump will today host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida for talks that are expected to cover Gaza and a range of other pressing issues. This will be their 6th meeting since Trump's return to office 11 months ago, and any decision made today could have a potentially momentous impact on questions that determine the future of the region. Crispin.
Thank you, Mapala Zita. We come back to talk sport. We open our sports file with rugby. Rugby Africa has officially suspended the Cameroon Rugby Federation, citing a deep-rooted institutional crisis and failure to meet global governance standards. The decision follows significant irregularities discovered in the December 2024 elections and multiple violations of World Rugby rules, despite a last-ditch effort to resolve the deadlock during an extraordinary General Assembly in November 2025. Persistent internal tensions prevented any meaningful resolution. Bob Bryan, sports writer, has the following comments to make.
It is a very difficult decision for the Cameroon rugby community, especially the players who have to go for a long period of time now without training, without participating in the league, just because the federations and other official stakeholders have refused to do what they know ought to have been done for the benefit of the actors. Now the players have to rely on major competitions like the Esono Rugby 15 Championship, which so far has been doing a good job. And at the end, I think it is not going to help the development of the discipline in Cameroon. It is high time the stakeholders rethink on the development of this discipline, which is beginning to lure a good number of young people.
AFCON 2025 Morocco, a special page in the news.
Good afternoon, Biwa Brian.
Good afternoon, Frinu Crispin.
Brian, the indomitable Lions of Cameroon currently sits second in Group F of the African Cup of Nations with 4 points from 2 games.
Cameroon moved 4 points yesterday after having clawed their way from a 1-1 draw against the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire. The Ivorians took the lead through Amat Diallo, who was later named man of the match, but the indomitable Lions found an equalizer when Junior Chamado's strike took a heavy deflection off a defender to find the net. At this point, the race to the top of the group is now down to wire, with Cameroon set to face off against Mozambique, while Cote d'Ivoire will take on Gabon in their final group games to determine the leader of the group. Before these games, here is what some Cameroonians think about yesterday's game against Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah, to me, a 1-1 draw may not be satisfactory because I was expecting a win for the Lions. But now, having in mind that they were playing against the defending champions, Ivory Coast, I think it was satisfactory.
We were supposed to win the game, but unfortunately, we did not win. We had opportunities which the referee refused to give us. I saw a penalty, clean one, but he turned it down, he turned it out, and he did not it was not important for him.
Some of the positives from the game I noticed. They had good coordination between the players. There was a lot of understanding in terms of passing accuracy and gameplay going up front. Every player knows, okay, at this position we have this player. It was more organized as opposed to the previous game.
I think it was an interesting game. So far, I consider this to be the most entertaining match of the African Cup of Nations. We saw end-to-end football, a match that the midfield and the attack was a little bit interesting, given the fact that these are two sides who know themselves so well.
The only problem we had, the only team that was to disturb Cameroon was Cote d'Ivoire. Any other team ahead of us, I don't see them blocking us from not winning or getting to the finals.
Following yesterday's game, the third and final round of group fixtures at the AFCON is set to start today with 4 games on the card.
At 5 p.m., Angola will face off against the Pharaoh of Egypt at the Grand Stade d'Agadir. Although Egypt's qualification status remains unaffected by today's outcome, today's result is said to have a major implication for Angola. Angola stands in a 3-way battle with South Africa and Zimbabwe for a second guaranteed spot or a potential burst third place finish, and so needs to win in order to improve their standing and ensure their control of destiny. Away from this game at the start, the Marrakech, South Africa's Bafana Bafana has a pair against Zimbabwe, a vital Southern African derby with significant implications for both teams, particularly Angola, who has just 1 point so far in the competition. South Africa will guarantee second place with a draw, while a loss would leave their fate dependent on other Group B results and third place rankings. Summarily, survival is the name of the set fixture, with both teams needing a positive result to avoid elimination from the early stages of the competition. At 8 p.m. at the Mohamed V Stadium in Casablanca, Mali, who is undefeated across all games, will cross paths with Morocco, who is winless in this competition, counting 1 draw and 1 defeat so far in 2 outings. The stake here mandate Mali to win and potentially top the group depending on the Morocco game, while Comoros requires a victory to have any realistic chance of progressing as one of the best third place teams in the competition. The last pair of the day is a clash between the Copa Bullets of Zambia and the Atlas Lions of Morocco at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Rabat. The host nation Morocco leads Group A with 4 points, but their qualification is not yet sealed, while Zambia, on the other hand, has 2 points from 2 draws. The stake here says Morocco needs at least a draw to be absolutely sure of qualification and top spot, while Zambia needs a massive performance to first of all cause an upset and then secure a vital win in order to advance to the round of 16.
Before you go, Brian, you say Nigeria, Algeria and Egypt have already qualified for the next stage of the AFCON.
The Pharaohs of Egypt, the Super Falcons of Nigeria and Algeria all secured maximum points from their opening 2 matches, guaranteeing them top 2 finish in their respective groups and safe passage to the knockout stage of the 2025 African Cup of Nations. The Pharaohs of Egypt were the first team to qualify for the knockout stage, securing their spot with a 1-0 victory over South Africa's Bafana Bafana, led by Mohamed Salah. Egypt boasts a perfect record of 2 wins from 2 games with 6 points and a positive goal difference, ensuring they cannot be overtaken from the top spot in Group B. The Super Eagles of Nigeria punched their ticket to the round of 16 following a 3-2 win against Tunisia. This second consecutive victory placed Nigeria on 6 points at the top of Group C, putting them in control and guaranteeing their progression to the next phase of the tournament. The Desert Foxes of Algeria, on their part, became the 3rd team to book their place in the knockout following yesterday's 1-0 win over the Stallions of Burkina Faso. Algeria has yet to concede a goal in the tournament, maintaining their perfect record of 2 wins and 6 points, with assurance that they are set to qualify for the next stage of the competition. With 1 group stage match remaining for all teams, the race is now on to determine final group positions and the remaining qualifiers, including the best third place teams, as the tournament heats up.
AFCON 2025 Morocco, that was a special page in the news.
Let's welcome Francine Ateba for the summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon, Francine.
Good afternoon, Frino et Crispine. Le chef de l'État s'agressera à la nation le 31 décembre prochain. En attendant cette adresse, la rédaction décrypte le discours du 31 décembre 2024 en guise d'évaluation. Premier arrêt sur la situation sécuritaire des régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest comme priorité de ce message. Le processus de reconstruction était salué malgré les atrocités commises par quelques bandes armées qui perpètrent des exactions contre les civils. Malgré les réformes prises par le gouvernement, la crise persiste. Face à cette situation, la collaboration et le soutien de tous sont nécessaires. À l'étranger, les élections générales en République centrafricaine se sont déroulées hier, le 28 décembre 2025, dans un climat calme et pacifique. Selon le Conseil électoral, environ 2,3 millions d'électeurs inscrits ont voté pour la présidence, les sièges législatifs et les élections locales dans 6700 bureaux de vote à travers le pays. Les candidats en lice pour la présidence sont Faustin Archange Touadéra, le président sortant qui brigue un troisième mandat. Anissé Georges Dolo Guélé, ancien premier ministre et chef de l'opposition. Henri-Marie Dongra, ancien premier ministre et candidat de l'Union républicaine, entre autres. En sport, les Lions indomptables du Cameroun ont affronté la Côte d'Ivoire hier, 28 décembre 2025, au Grand Stade de Marrakech, dans le cadre de la deuxième journée du groupe F de la CAN 2025. Le match s'est achevé sur un score de parité, un but partout. Le Cameroun et la Côte d'Ivoire sont désormais à égalité parfaite, 4 points chacun.
The 2 p.m. newscast was technically assisted by Ulrich Kemwe, our sound engineer, and our studios clerk, video editor Brian B.